got my wife on
Welcome,
that.
everyone, to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host, Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. First, he's the Lord Skelton himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, what's shaking?
Nothing much. Hot weather's coming. Can't wait to go camping next week.
Oh, yeah, well, believe me, it's been hot as hell up here, so camping, I'm sure, Joe, you'll enjoy it. And, of course, we had the Vicious Vixen, who's back with us. Good to have you back, Zoe.
Great to be back, and I've heard that you guys have been killing it with over 200 people last week listening, so just want to say I'm proud of my brothers, and I'm so thankful for every single one of those listeners.
Thank you very much, and also, we really got a lot to cover, so tonight, one of the first topics I wanted to talk about was WWE going TV 14. Now, for years, since past the Attitude Era, WWE was more like Sesame Street wrestling. You know, they even literally had the Muppets, I think, on one edition, which I thought was just like completely embarrassing, or at least as a wrestling fan. Now, honestly, the TV 14 entails could probably be anything from like sexual suggestions, coarse language, and other things. So, Joe, what's your pick on this, how WWE is going to use this new rating?
Well, they're going to try to go back to the Attitude Era, but the problem is, Rick, they don't have the players that the Attitude Era had. It wasn't just about good wrestling back then. It was the great talkers. All right, Roman Reigns is like head of the table. You know, that's his whole monologue. You're not going to have anybody else capture that audience like Stone Cold, The Rock, and everybody else did back then. To me, too little, too late. It's not going to make a damn difference if they're PG, G, or rated R, or XXX. They don't have the people that can pull it in. What are you going to have? Fucking this Riddle go, hey, bro, I'm going to attract the potheads, bro.
Well, actually, that would not be. I'd say that would be more of a Street Profits concept, because I would say bring the smoke, and I probably mean they'll be bringing down a blunt or or something like that. Hypothetically, of course. But on a recent edition, Eric Bischoff gave his thoughts on his podcast, and this is what he said: some of the implications may be real tangible, and others may be subtle and possibly not so significant. I think it's going to create a lot of anticipation. I think it's going to be a lot of people who may have turned over the years because the product has gotten soft since 2008, meaning it needs to be palatable for children to keep the advertisers and as well the network happy. Zoe, your thoughts?
Honestly, I don't think it's going to change that much. Whenever I first heard it, I was really hoping for like the First Blood match to come back, the old school Inferno matches, the hardcore title, things like that. But I mean, with the talent that they have right now, I don't think that they could pull off a TV 14.
And you know what, Zoe, you made a very good point as far as going back to the sex of the talk or the references. Although before the shit hit the fan, John Laurinaitis wanted women to reset their wardrobe so there would be more butt cheekage. That was his wording.
Well, as long as it's more TNA and not the company TNA, then we're fine. Over at the HWR chat room on YouTube, we have Terry 3G, and he says, "Yay, Zoe is back and the guys." So
yeah,
he's giving you the shout out. He says that was hilarious. The judges appear, and in one segment they go, "You call that a match?" Ha 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 ha.
Welcome aboard, Terry. You join us, and you're always in the HWR chat room in the group section. Yeah, that was a small plug on Facebook. But Joe, all joking aside, Zoe made a fair point. They might be able to bring back more barbaric matches, and probably. Go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish up your sentence.
Well, because that's what AEW is doing. You know, they're doing a lot of the tonight on Dynamite. It's gonna be barbed wires everywhere, death match. You know.
But you know what? I think the problem here is AEW already established it could do that, or it could do regular matches. They're kind of AEW, if you sit back and look at it, it's the WCW mentality of bringing every former WWE guy. It's the ECW mentality of let's do one hardcore match every now and then to keep that base happy, and then let's do some real great matches, technical wise and tag team wise, to keep the audience interested. So they try to give you a little of everything. They give you the luchadors, they give you the women, they give you the tags, they give you singles, the hardcore. I think in essence, they are doing a far better job than Vince. But here again, in WWE, they don't have the talkers. You can do extreme matches. You can behead someone. If there's no build up to it, if there's no altercation backstage, if there's no talkative, I'm going to kick your ass type thing, if you smell what The Rock is cooking, or Austin 316 says, if you don't have that ability to capture an audience, then it's a wasted match because nobody's going to care. Look at Chris Jericho. They're smartly throwing Chris Jericho out there, out in the ring to do what he does best. He could talk the talk. Okay, he's a little bit slower. He's, not as the Chris Jericho 10, 20, 30 years ago, but he captivates you with his talk. Same thing with some of the other guys like Sting and all these people. They captivate you enough and they educate the young talent enough that this is how you got it. It's not always about the match. It's about enticing you to watch the match. I'm going to say one more thing, and then Zoe could take over. Back in the 80s, WWF at the time used to do this. They used to take the matches, do interview segments on their smaller shows, and build it up for Saturday night's main event. It's like Hulkster is going to battle Kamala, or Roddy Piper is going to fight this person. And they would do segments before that. You will be hyped. And then when you get in, you wouldn't be disappointed because that's what attracted you. Same with the old Attitude Era. You got hooked when Mick Foley was going to get his shot at the world title. They talked about it. Foley did his thing. Rock did his thing. Austin did his thing.
And then Tony Schiavone really fucked up where he admitted the tape. He goes, well, Mick Foley won the title. That's going to be interesting to see. And I guess that's when the landslide really hit.
Seats. Yeah, that's going to be put in seats. So, but again, talkers brung you in, enticed you in that match, and that's what happened.
All right, Zoe, any final thoughts on this?
I mean, Joe hit the nail on the head. I want to believe that you actually hate each other before a match. I want to believe that you guys are going to take it above and beyond. Personally, I think that they need to train their roster at WWE a lot more on how to talk. Paul Heyman, he'd be perfect to help train them. Get these guys ready for TV 14. Bring Stone Cold in. Have him help out. The announcers, bring Jerry King Lawler in. Have him help them. Get them ready for TV 14.
Well, I think you guys again. These are things that I think would you like to happen. We should happen, but the probably question is, will it happen with WWE? No. Especially, I think they're just upping the rating just so they try to get that PG stigma off of their skin. But they have other things to worry about. Right now, let's move along. Paige recently said in an interview that she did not want to leave the WWE. WWE just simply did not offer her a new contract. Now, Paige has honestly been sitting on the sideline for 2 years due to a broken neck for the second time. If you remember a few years back, when she got her last match, she just come back from her neck surgery, and she botched Banks, hit her did a mule kick in the back of her head, and you could see her neck snap back, causing her another delay. But she still tried to do other things. She was on that WWE Backstage on Friday nights. She was a general manager for a little bit. So I think they could have done a lot more with her. But once COVID hit, she was gone. So they didn't bring her back to the fold. But unfortunately, WWE has too many creative, too many wrestlers and managers and do everything else that I think they were just happy keeping her on the side and having her run out her contract. And I think that's going to be a waste. Joe, your thoughts?
It is a waste. And I remember that scenario, that situation when Sasha Banks kicked her behind the head. You saw this girl's neck snap, her head whiplash back. And it was the most scariest thing you ever see because this was live. This was not a taping. This was live. And this girl's flopping like a fish on the mat. And, stuff like that is another thing where you look and it's it's a scary situation. And with Paige, she's a liability at this stage. She's a liability. I don't think right now Paige should be, she should take her time. She should sit back. Don't worry about wrestling. Do whatever they call that. Do podcasting, anything. Don't get into wrestling until she knows her neck is 100%. Don't get involved in being a manager. If you want to be a spokesperson, like a general manager, even when she was a general manager, it didn't appeal to me because she just, I don't know, it just wasn't that great to me.
Yeah, I agree with you there because you saw her in a different light. You didn't see her as the badass wrestler that we loved. And unfortunately, when she broke that neck, it's kind of like, at first you see, Ric Flair when he was wrestling. He was great on the mic, but I think when he finally retired, or at least the first time he retired, they tried to do something similar where he was doing like a manager or whatever. And then fast forward to when Charlotte started debuting and Ric Flair was on the side. It worked good, only for a short time, and then they realized that Charlotte had to go up on her own.
By the way, over in the HWR chat room on YouTube, again, check us out. Hardcore Wrestling Rants on YouTube. Terry says, probably because she can't wrestle, they value her more as an in-ring talent with good looks versus anywhere else. It's a shame for Paige and stupid of WWE to not look at her, but with how they are and how they are currently. Basically, WWE use her as eye candy, but her talents are, shall we say, not that great, when it comes to being anything as just eye candy. I don't think it really works.
Yeah, and you know what? We got a lot to see more in our eye candy when she was on a hiatus when all those video leaks were done. So it's like,
she was practicing her version of a handicap match.
Yeah, that's what that was. Unfortunately, WWE was like, that's X-rated for us. I don't think that would even do it, but.
You know what? I'm going to bring up a quick question. You brung that up, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate here.
Okay.
Okay. What would have happened, and I want to throw this out to you and Zoe, what would have happened if that situation would have happened with the belt, like what happened with Paige? If folks don't know, she had a threesome with two individuals, and they kind of shined up the woman's belt, put it that way. What would have happened if it was somebody from the top tier doing that currently? And, a Charlotte or Bailey or a nude video came out of what's her name? Seth Rollins' wife. I fucking can't remember.
Becky
Lynch. Yeah. Or somebody else in that tier. Would they have just overlooked it because they're in the higher tier? Paige was, I think, not even active as a wrestler. So I just want to throw that out there.
Yeah. Well, if you said the Bella Twins joining a three-way, I'm like, they'd have a lot more to worry about doing legal issues. Two sisters having sex with another guy, regardless. I don't know. That's even for me, that'd be a little creepy. Sexy, but creepy. Anyways, but I still think, honestly, it's not really, even the higher tiers was not a problem. We've seen Charlotte Flair, she leaked a couple of pictures. We've seen other wrestlers leak out shit. Even fortunately, there was that years ago. Seth Rollins got got in a little bit of trouble, but he still wound up going on to WrestleMania and winning the title that same year. So
Yep.
honestly, I think when it comes behind the scenes, a lot of the management is reality saying, you know what, these are people who live their lives and people make stupid mistakes behind closed doors. It happens. It's not like she went out on Raw and flashed her tits intentionally, say, "See, I got my breast fixed," you know.
From Terry over in the YouTube chat room, he says the new WWE X-rated division, cooperated by Vivid Entertainment.
Pretty much, that's exactly what it would be.
And his GM will be was a Ron Jeremy.
I love it. I love it. Book it. All right. Moving along.
Hey.
Okay, Zoe, your thoughts? Okay. I didn't forget
have
you.
her beat the hell out of you.
So, again, your thoughts about Paige not getting a new contract?
I hate that she's not getting a new contract, but I think it is for the best that she's not getting a new contract, because obviously that they don't want to use her for anything. Paige is, frequently put on Twitter, tweeting out to WWE, "Put me in, coach, I'm ready." I don't know if her neck is healed. It sounds like it might be healed and she's got the okay to wrestle. She was one of my favorites. Like, I absolutely adore her. Real talent in the ring. I think if they would have worked with her a little bit on her talking, she could have been a really great heel.
Zoe, you're going to need to tune your sound up.
I was saying, I think that if WWE worked with her a little bit more, she could have been a great leader for a heel faction. She did a little bit with Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose. I think if she had somebody other than Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose, it could have took off. Paige, I liked her as a general manager. I just wish she would have had more of a heel role as a general manager.
Well, actually, she did for a while. When she did the issue when she was a manager of a tag team, and again, it didn't really resonate off her. But Joe, I'm gonna shoot you one last question. Even though, like you said, Paige is great, she's doing a lot of fans on Twitter. She has her podcast and other things. So clearly, even if she wanted to do a couple of matches with an indie show, nobody's not going to upset. Let's say, they'll take her in a heartbeat with high money, especially the bingo halls.
Oh, hell no. Go ahead, Zoe. Zoe, also, your mic sounds like you're, switched to a phone.
I am on the phone.
No, it sounds like your phone is dying or something.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but I'm just saying, I book her.
Yeah, there you go. Again, so she's not, dead in the water. I don't think her career is completely over. So let's move along. Now, we know that Sasha Banks pretty much walked out of the WWE along with Naomi, but that's not stopping Banks to appear at non-wrestling conventions. So, and she will be using her real name, which is...
Slutty McSlut?
No, it's Mercedes Ronaldo. And apparently a lot of conventions have been reaching out to Ronaldo's representatives, and saying, giving a firm, specific rate to book her. So that tells me, Joe, that she's looking for high money.
Oh, of course the little slut is looking for high money. She wouldn't be doing it for anything. She wouldn't be doing it for less than probably $50,000. And here's the thing, though. You better have, if you're an indie promoter and you're thinking of booking this girl, you better have your second mortgage ready. You better have extra cash, because it's not only, Rick, that you have to pay for herself, but you got to pay for her straight for her hotel and her travel. So,
yeah, and she's not going to be doing coach,
Oh, hell no. And she's not going to go to any Holiday Inn. She wants to have a nice little hotel room.
Absolutely.
So let's look at this fact. No, she's not worth it. For convention, maybe to sign autographs, if you feel it can work, yes. Otherwise, any indie promoter if they want to have the allure of saying, yes, the bragging rights, we've got the former Sasha Banks. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, you're not going to make any money off this bitch because she's not worth it. She doesn't have the attraction. She's more of a problem child than anything else. And I said it before and I said it again. The only reason she ever got into the business is because her uncle or cousin or, her whatever taboo
Snoop
relative is Snoop Dogg. So I'm sorry, but that doesn't impress me. So let's get that out of the way. So yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say this: you book her, be prepared for the shit storm that's gonna come up to her. So,
All right, Zoe, your thoughts on Sasha Banks doing non-wrestling conventions?
I think it's stupid. She's just there for parks as part of it. I would.
Yeah.
If I was at,
We could barely hear you, Zoe.
sorry. I was saying I wouldn't book her just because all the drama that she would probably bring because she's high maintenance. And if somebody was to point out to me at a convention that they had Sasha Banks, so I want her autograph, I'd laugh in their face.
Yeah, fair enough. All right. So you know what? We're gonna move along, and right now, I believe there is. Hold on, it was a wrong story. We have new AEW Tag Team Champions. Swerve and Our Glory won the titles last week on Dynamite. Although some people are saying, or some wrestling fans are saying that it could have been an invalid win due to the reason that Ricky Starks was pinned for the 3 count, but he was not the legal man. Matt Jackson was. Now, despite the fans' opinion, AEW President Tony Khan posted on Twitter, that match is final. And he said this, the speculations is bullshit. As always in AEW and also for general wrestling, the referee's decision is final. And you know what? This could be another issue. It was also noted that Matt Jackson took a hard bump that same night. So he's been dealing with neck issues with a year. So whether the ref called an audible, this was part of some kind of a greater storyline to push it down the line with Young Bucks, or just a mere botch on his part is really not known. But regardless, Swerve and Our Glory, Joe, is our new tag team champions.
You know what? And you first of all, you got to give it to the Bucks. They knew better. They gave the belts to another team. They did not hold it. They were the ultimate professionals. When they first came out, I was like, oh Lord, here come the Glory Hounds. And obviously they've taken that to heart, and they've literally decided to not, do that. They pretty much passed the buck. No pun intended, passed the buck over to another team. So they're willing to share the titles around, and I think that's a great idea. Now for Swerve and whatever these
Keith Lee.
Well, no, I was gonna say Keith Lee, but I was gonna say to try to remember the Team Glory of the Swerve or Swervy Glory or whatever.
Swerve and Our Glory.
Yeah, the hell with them. Harlem Heat 2020. Let's look at it like this. At least, and I say this, at least the belts are moving back and forth. And I think it helps. This team worked well because, one, you have a former veteran of WWE who didn't get a good break. He's got a break now. They hooked him up with a young guy from Ring of Honor. So you got the young and you got the former WWE guy who are cooperating, working together to push this. I like the idea that Hobbs and Ricky Starks are in this race to get the belts. That's good. So they're actually moving the belts around. So we don't keep seeing the same teams. I think it's a great idea, and I would like to see some other teams get a shot at the belt and get a fluke win, because that's what it was. It was a fluke win. Will they say, hey, guess what? Maybe it didn't referee's decision, or I honestly, I think it was set that these guys had to win the belts because the injury that Matt or his brother got. So honestly, I think it's a good call. I think they really did a good job of passing the belt around. They need to do that more. They need to surprise us with a sudden win because I thought it was going to be these two guys fighting each other. The two teams are going to take each other, and the Bucks are going to get in, sweep in, get a sneak win, and run off with the belts. No, this was a surprise thing. So I would like to keep being surprised.
Absolutely, and I honestly thought that they were going to retain the titles. And for the record, yes, it is Matt Jackson who has been dealing with neck injury, so we could see him taking a break. Kayla, your thoughts about fans questioning the ref's decision?
I mean, like Joe said, Matt took a really rough bump, so that could have just been an audible. I was kind of shocked that they put on Swerve and Keith Lee because they were teasing that Swerve and Keith Lee were going to break up. But kudos to them. At least it wasn't Ricky Starks and Hobbs. I don't like them. They bore me for some reason. I just can't get into them. I do want to see these belts moved around, like Joe was saying. I'd love to see somebody from Dark Order, maybe 10, and one of the other guys to get the championship belts. Or I'd like to see the House of Black have the championship belts.
And again, yeah, absolutely. But I think right now House of Black is going to be dealing with Sting and Darby Allin. They got some kind of a program boiling over. But I would, like I said, when it comes to Team Taz, I'm really impressed by Powerhouse Hobbs. I wish they would push him more forward as a single. Ricky Starks, he seems to be all flair more than wrestling. He's starting to grow on me a little bit, but I'm not ready to say I'm a fan of him. So
he reminds me of the situation for Jersey Shore.
Oh, Jesus. I was going to say it reminds me of Rocky Johnson, or Rocky Maivia, without all the gear and shit. All right. Apparently, Nataly has been having some heat in the background and with creative, along with producers. The one article claims that she has a problem. Last week, there was speculation because she no-sold to Liv Morgan during a house show, and it seemed to be the tip of the iceberg. A member of the team stated that Natty has become a serious problem backstage last Friday, so bad that producers or writers were talking about whether they should go to Vince McMahon or observe protocol and go to Bruce Pritchard, or maybe even talk about, as a courtesy, to T.J. Wilson, who's Nataly's husband, as a courtesy to see if maybe he can intervene in the situation. Joe, your thoughts?
Before I go into that, over in the chat room again, Terry says the number is starting for Sasha Banks at 3K for Snoop's niece. He also says, speaking of the Dark Order, Evil Uno's birthday is today. So happy birthday from HWR to Evil Uno. Thank you, Terry, for posting that up and letting us know. Please post that up in the HWR chat room. That will be great for everybody to check it out. So. But you know what? I forgot the question.
We were talking about Nataly becoming a problem in the back,
That's
and
why I was
producers.
Boobs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know what? We could talk about the TDs after, because believe me, that's a topic I definitely want to talk about. But it seemed that producers wasn't sure whether they should talk to Bruce Pritchard. Or go straight to Vince McMahon, or maybe even take the letter as a courtesy for her to talk to T.J. Wilson, who is Nataly's husband, as a courtesy that maybe he can smooth things over.
Stuff happens in wrestling, and Zoe is currently in wrestling. I was in wrestling. Stuff happens, and sometimes when a move gets botched, sometimes it's hard to maintain your anger. It's like, shit, that could have killed me, or that could have hurt me severely. Sometimes that happens and you will explode and the situation gets out of hand. In Natty's case, we saw she sold the finisher. did a hand gesture that like fuck you, even though she says it wasn't that case, and now they're trying to do. She's going to be penalized for it. You shouldn't penalize the girl if your champion can't fucking wrestle. You went from and nothing against Ronda Rousey, but you went from an individual, okay, that is basically an MMA fighter, and she is nothing else, and she could just kick, punch, and all that, okay, judo flip and all that stuff. But when you put it on somebody who probably blew Vince, because if they go by talent wise, there's Liv Morgan is as talented as a fucking how can I put it? She makes Nia Jax look like fucking Andre the Giant of King Kong Bundy or Bret Hart in talent wise.
Well, you know what? Personally, I'm gonna be honest with you. I wouldn't go that far. I mean, Nia Jax is like injured herself many times and botched plenty of times. Not to mention, it's just so. I mean, yes, obviously, when it comes to Liv Morgan, very, very hot. And Natalia, fans were actually more complaining of the fact that Natalia had breast implants. So I'm going to tell you, I have no problem, especially when it comes to a hot MILF, such as Natalia, having fake boobs. They look pretty good. I don't know, Joe. What about you? What did you think about them?
Oh, sheesh. I'm a boob guy. So, I gotta say she looks great. I didn't like the one picture that she looked like she got bubble lips, like she went to the Leona Helmsley of plastic surgery.
Yeah, but, the facial surgery might be a little bit more of an issue than the tit issue.
Yeah, it looks like she's Jim Neidhart in drag. But paper bags work. Even though Natty's still attractive. But I think. Again, here is a pure wrestler. Natty has been in the business for so long. She is the MILF of professional wrestling. She has been there so long and helped and done so much. If she gets pissed off at something, for everything the WWE has done to her, she stood by them. She's done, remember guys, the Fatty and Natty, when they had her passing gas everywhere. Then she was teaming with the Glamazon. She was doing so many different things, and she stuck through it like a trooper. When a botch happens and you're getting pissed off and you show it, don't blame the poor girl. Blame the one who did the botch. That's, it's obviously Liv Morgan is the thing, and everybody loves Liv Morgan. I do too. I think she's a great girl. She's great eye candy. Is she a great wrestler? No. Is she a great talker? Definitely not.
No.
So, and I try to do a British thing for Andy. Oh, definitely not. So I gotta say, what? I think they looked at everybody in the room and they said, they pulled a honky tonk man. Vince and Hulk Hogan were looking, who can we give the Intercontinental belt to now? Oh, well, what about this guy? And it was Honky Tonk Man. I think everybody looked in the room and says, who can we give the belt to? Well, let's just give it to Liv. We've done this storyline and nobody's bought it, but fuck it, give it to her. Not that she can't wrestle a lick, but fuck it. I think that's the thing. And when Natty got injured, it just the temper flared. And it just a spur of the moment. Zoe, I'm going to toss that to you. Have you ever been in that situation? I know I have.
I have been in that situation. Did I get ticked off? Yes. Did I show it while I was in the ring? No, I did not. I waited till I got to the back and talked to the person about it. As far as that move goes, I have watched that video over and over and over again. That move was clean. It was a clean move. I didn't see a botch. It tipped me off that Natty reacted that way in front of a live crowd. I understand tempers flare, especially whenever there is a botch, but there's a time and place to handle that. That's not in front of everybody out there. As far as Liv being the champion and everything, she needed a lot of work before they put the belt on her. There's no doubt about that. The girl can't talk without crying. That ticks me off. I cannot stand that. as far as Natty goes, having heat in the back. It just seems like every now and then you get that one veteran that's been there for a while. Then they get the ego where they know everything, they're right, and everybody else is wrong. And I'm seeing that happen in Natty, and it disgusts me because Natty is one of my idols.
You know what? You made a good point, and I guess one stated that that Natalia stated that she gets her role and understands what's needed, but she feels like she's being treated like a jobber. And I think that's what you've been saying. Zoe was perfectly her words for the most part.
Yep. Rick over in the YouTube channel, Terry says that's the issue. She's done so much for the WWE for so long. Not giving Natty the title more often would definitely wear on you in time. I don't think Natty really cares about the title. I think Natty cares about making the business look good. I think it's almost the Bret Hart thing. It's kind of like you want to make it look good. You want to do it right. And when it plays it off, she's probably, like I said, probably a little bit annoyed that somebody else who's not prepared to be a champion gets the belt. And I think that's Natty's thing. I don't think. And then if you look in the locker room, there's really no one else. If it's not Charlotte, Becky, Sasha, Bayley, if it's not the cream of the crop, yeah, those top named girls right there. Alexa Bliss has been champion so many times. There's no one else in that playing field that you can honestly say should be is ready for a belt. So they just like tossed it.
Huh? Give Nikki Ash her old gimmick back and put the belt on her.
There you go. That'll work.
Yeah. And again, that's another issue. It's really creative with a lot of the wrestlers, not just females, but you said it right there. They need new gimmick because the Nikki Ash thing, I just don't get. It makes her look silly. It makes her look stupid. When Mick Foley was hardcore and they started him off, as Mankind, and then slowly kind of made him up to like a silly fun guy, it made sense then. Doing it right off the bat, doesn't rub off. At least with me, it doesn't. I want to move on. Tessa Blanchard had made her return to the ring after this past Saturday, when she faced Miranda Alize at Hurricane Pro Wrestling Bremont, and that was in Texas. Blanchard has been blacklisted from most of the major wrestling companies. WWE won't touch her. AEW made it very clear. Tony Khan said he has no desire to work with her. She pretty much severed all issues with Impact, who was the only ones that pretty much watched, had her back. But she's been known for bullying, using racial slurs, and unfortunately, that just brushes a really bad paint on John. But I can't get the words. Just makes her look bad, to say it easier. Joe, over to you.
Yeah, and she can't go to Ring of Honor because Tony Khan owns that. So you know what? When you burn your bridges, and professional wrestling is a funny thing. When you get to the point in time, there's not a lot of companies truly out there. So nowadays, you're lucky if you can get into a company, and even the indie companies don't pay much. And for someone with Blanchard's reputation, and again, she's a Blanchard. She's Tully Blanchard's daughter. With that credentials alone, you would think the girl will hold herself up into a better thing. She would be, like representing the Blanchard family better.
She should have been the legacy.
She should have been. It's like Charlotte Flair. I hate to say that. She does a better Ric Flair now than Ric Flair does today. It's because we find Captain Winky all the time. But I think, and honestly, the girl there's so many conflicts with her. It's definitely, I think the main companies are afraid to touch her. I think that's why her father probably hasn't gone to bat for her, because that's another thing too we have to look at. So in all essence, I think honestly, Blanchard is she's blackballed right now, and unless she starts going to shows, collect your $50. That's all you're gonna probably get out of it. And if anybody want to give you more than that, God bless you. you're suckering them into it. But if you can get in there and you can pay your dues again, now she's going to have to pay her dues all over again.
Yeah.
Rick.
Actually, you know what? I watched the match, and unfortunately, Tessa Blanchard is a good wrestler, but it was in a gymnasium. Where you could see the ceilings. You could see, a basketball, somewhere which they covered with the, with the apron and whatever. But even still, when you walk through, you saw the top of it, which was, and unfortunately, that's what it shows what she was reduced to. Zoe, your thoughts on this whole situation?
Call me judgmental, but her in-ring return will not last, at least with this promotion. And the reason I say call me judgmental is because this girl has been given chance after chance after chance. And what happens? She can't control that little mouth she's got. She wants to run that mouth all the time. Until she can sit there and pay her dues and get back to where she began, and remember all those dues that she had to pay in the beginning. Until she is humbled, the girl will not survive in wrestling.
And I think that's pretty much it. I want to talk on one last subject. It seems to be the AEW and the WWE are, causing some kind of injury bug going on. And I'm going to go down, and this is most of them have been within the past few months. Even over at AEW, we just talked about Matt Jackson's neck injury, so he could possibly be out. We know that Kenny Omega has been out for quite some time because he's been dealing with a lot of illnesses. Bryan Danielson, he had a concussion, but he's been medically cleared, but Tony Khan won't seem to let him return to wrestling. And then you have others like CM Punk, who broke his foot or lower leg wrestling. We can't seem to tell which one is which. So they have Santana who torn his ACL at the very beginning of Blood and Guts. I don't know exactly how that happened. Eli Diallo, or Andrade Idol, Joe's best friend, he has an inflamed ankle.
Say it right. Andrade the Idiot.
Andrade the Idiot. Okay. And again, there are others. Kip Sabian. He's ready to come back, but he's not officially cleared. He's out on injury, along with his wife, Penelope Ford. Red Velvet, is also out. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly is also out. And then you have Adam Cole, who is pretty much the trifecta of the absolute, I don't know what they call their, undisputed elite. That's what it was. Sorry.
Okay.
Now, and that's this. Most of them have only been in with the past 4 or 5 months. Now you switch over to WWE. Big E this past March, he broke his neck. He's going to be out for at least a year. Cody Rhodes back in April, he tore his pectoral right off the bone. He still wrestled at WrestleMania, but at the end of the day, he's still out for quite some time. And past June, Rhea Ripley said she has a head and/or teeth issue. She wasn't really to come forward with more information. Randy Orton.
Also, Rick, she is wearing a heart monitor, so that is that's a serious thing as well.
Oh, really?
Yes, Rhea Ripley has been sporting a heart monitor, and whenever you have a heart monitor, and my youngest daughter, she's 25 and she uses it because she has like heart issues. But whenever you wear that, that means you have to wear that for a certain amount of time. Doctors have to look at it, and they have to judge if you're in danger of having a heart attack, or there's a proper term, and I'm sorry I forgot the terminology, but your heart can skip a beat, which in the ring, Zoe knows when you're in action, you're not getting enough blood rushing through your body, or your heart skipping a beat can cause you to pass out.
Yeah. I wonder if that's why Buddy Murphy has not been on TV. Has he been at home with Rhea Ripley?
Murphy, actually, I think he's also sustained some kind of an injury. I forget what it is. But I'm going to go on the list. Randy Orton, he has back issues, but, Randy Orton's climbing up there. I want to go back to Rhea Ripley for 1 second. You talked about heart palpitations or heart issues. That means she's on borrowed time. I don't think she's going to be wrestling for the next 20 years. If she's lucky, she'll be wrestling for the next 5. and that's with luck. But also, Charlotte Flair is out with a broken hand. It might be a kayfabe thing, not sure. Kevin Owens has an unknown minor injury, and again, that's not too revealing. Nikita Lyons back in June had a partial MCL tear and an MCL sprain, which means she could be out for a few more months. And then others like Io Shirai, Odyssey Jones, Zelina, Rick Boogs, Bailey, who had torn ACL back in 2021, but rumors say that she's going to be coming back pretty soon. And Paige, of course, has a broken neck, which happened back in 2018, which we talked about.
Well, I found out what happened to Charlotte Flair. I just looked it up.
Yep.
Okay, she does have an injured wrist, but that was because she keeps fisting Andrade in the ass a lot.
Does she need a passport for that?
No. It's an illegal thing. You know, you could say she's dealing with a foreign object. Zoe, go ahead and hit her with that email. since Lance is not here.
All right, guys. Also, Jungle Boy is out with an injured shoulder, but again, that seems to me could be kayfabed because it was Christian. That's when he turned on him, and he hit him with a Chinkarito on the shoulder. So could it be out, or could that just be an excuse to get him out for the timeout? Who knows? Sometimes they use the kayfabe injury to legitimize an injury.
Yeah, you know what? And I think this is Jungle Boy's time to shine. I want him to be TNT champion. It's his time to start moving up. I want to see him return and get that spot. He deserves it. Just like Darby Allin had his time to shine as TNT champion, Jungle Boy makes that return. I think it'll be a great thing for him. So I think this is kind of a kayfabe thing. He's just needed some time. Probably, who knows? This is a guy who's been wrestling since AEW opened up. So he's just like anybody else. They need that time to go. And wait a minute. Terry says, great show and always. He says, take care. Have a great rest of the week because Terry's got to head out. So thank you, Terry, again for being part of the show.
Thank you.
Terry is also, as I said before, he's always on the HWR chat room and Facebook in the group section where he put a lot of posts, does a lot of shows about a lot of other interesting articles. So definitely, guys, if you're a wrestling fan and if you're listening, get over to the HWR chat room. But, Joe, as I speculated before, a lot of these injuries happened within the past 3 or 4 months, both in AEW and WWE. What is happening?
Everybody's hot-shotting each other. That's all it is. Look at the moves that are being done in AEW. When you hot-shot too much, you're going to get injured. Once in a while, a hot shot is nice. And for those fans that don't know, hot shotting is when you perform an elaborate move, and where there's a chance you can get injured. When you continue the hot shot, there becomes a greater risk of getting injured. So I think right now we're looking at a brand new war for ratings and for fans. AEW is getting that edge now. And they have the young talent pulling out to keep themselves relevant. They're pulling out these extraordinary moves just to keep themselves, in the spotlight. So honestly, I think this is not a good thing for them. But Rick, I think also is that's what's causing the injuries. WWE is just trying to hotshot the hotshotters. So they're putting their people to go through. And Cody Rhodes is a perfect example. Cody Rhodes knows what the competition is because, he ran the competition. He knows what those people are all about. So he's going to do the hot shotting. He's going to try to do it. We all saw it when he had that torn pec muscle. You could see how bad his chest was. And it went underneath his armpit all the way around. It was going down his arm. He wanted to show that he could still perform and show that he has some guts in him. Okay, guts is one thing. Losing an arm or muscle or permanent damage, it's another. What you're seeing, it's hot shotting, and you're seeing in WWE the hot people trying to hot shot the hot shotters.
Well, you talk about hot shotting in the ring, but you know what? His injury was due to him working out. So maybe you think he was trying to push himself harder, saying, "Okay, I'm back in the WWE. I can't fail." Could have been that kind of mentality.
Rick, it's the same thing. It's hot shotting. He's trying to do a better. He's trying to show that he can come back to this company. Because he's going to be known as a traitor. He left to run a company that was. It's like Eric Bischoff. When Eric Bischoff arrived on Raw, he was probably the most hated guy in the world. Cody, while some people did like him, he left to go form a company, which is still successful. It was more successful when he was there. Okay, they brung him back in, and boom. Now he has to build up his reputation in the locker room. So he's going to try to be everything he can be. He's going to try to hot shot. He's going to try to build the muscle. He's going to do everything he can to prove that he's one of the badass individuals and hope that everybody else could follow suit. Well, you saw what happened. He got injured. He further injured himself. Everybody in the WWE locker room probably said, well, let's hot shot too. And that's why a lot of these people keep getting injured. They don't know how to pace themselves anymore. They don't know how to take the time to build a story. Sometimes the story is more important than the actual match. And when the match happens, you're blown away from it. When you're hot-shotting you're doing it constantly, you're robbing the fans of that worker because they're going to be injured. They're going to take time off, and you're not going to see it. Zoe, I would like to pass that question. You've been in the indie scene today. I haven't been in the indie scene for so long, but have you seen people doing too much hot shotting? Yeah, don't say.
Zoe, really? Come on, Zoe.
Leave Moxley
Sorry.
alone. He's locked in the closet. You can leave him alone.
I was cooking. But anyway, yeah, I have.
Nice alibi.
Well, I have seen a lot of hot shotting. I've seen the results from the hot shotting. I get that you want to put on a good show for the fans, but you also have to think about your health as far as that goes. And it's also a mentality thing as well. The next person has to sit there and go above and beyond what the person before them did. So, I mean, it's also why we tell people don't try this at home unless you're trained. Injuries happen. Wrestling, it is what it is. Okay, and I'll probably get bought out for it by other people, but yeah, wrestling is fake. It's not a secret. But the moves, a lot of them are real. Injuries happen a lot. Injuries are real. So if you're not trained to do it, please don't do it.
And unfortunately, Joe, you've seen a lot of the indie wrestlers, and could be very careless. And I've seen indie wrestlers, use very stiff moves to make themselves look a little bit better, or try to do some insane move like a Canadian Exploder, which is a very hard move to execute itself. Pull it off, and somebody's neck gets broken.
Or there is video for you folks that are not listening in, and if you're not part of the HWR chat room on Facebook, Rick will give you the link. I've posted up a couple of videos where we saw a kid from an indie show try to do a 350 moonsault or whatever, and he did the flip in the air, and what did he do? Land right back on top of the turnbuckle, the top turnbuckle that he jumped off. He did a flip. Instead of falling to the person, he fell right back onto the top turnbuckle and just dropped right off because he hit himself really hard. Same thing when the same kid didn't get that you fucked up this move, don't fuck it again. It was to the outside. He did the flip again. Guess what? He met Mr. Turnbuckle and he botched it again. That's a perfect example of people who do not know what the fuck they're doing. Don't do this. You're an idiot. Do what you know you can do. Don't hot shot. Later in life, when you learn to do the moves, do it. Now, for the people who are wrestling today in AEW and WWE, it looks great on paper. Oh, I could fucking do a moonsault. No, no. If you can't do it or you haven't done it, and your body can't do it, don't do it. Honestly, you can do something else. I hate to sound traditionalist and cliches. A fucking small package, a fucking, leg drop, a Macho Man elbow, anything. It doesn't put your life at risk and doesn't put the person that you're wrestling's life at risk. Don't hot shot, because when you hot shot, you're shortening your wrestling career. I have seen too many kids think that they're going to be this sensation, that they're going to end up in the WWE, and they push themselves, and it's just for their YouTube fans or Twitch fans, and they're going to do a flippity flip, and it botches, and they look more like an idiot and shorten their careers. So please don't do it.
It all comes down to common sense. I'm a big girl, all right? I'm not going to deny it. I'm a big fat girl. I'm not going to climb up to the top turnbuckle and do a moonsault. I'm not that stupid.
You're not a big girl. You're vivacious. Rick, you're the one with the fancy words. What do you call it? Bodacious and all that?
Finely shaped.
No.
Nicely shaped.
No. What you used to call it when me and Lance are here, the ever lovable, adorable, lovely.
Oh, yes, absolutely. But she's vicious, and that's what makes her sexy.
That's it. Let's leave it at that. Never think of yourself never think of yourself as big. You are bodacious. You are scrumptious. I can't. Should I say scrumptious? Truly scrumptious. That's from Chitty Chitty Bang Bang.
I'm going to get big head by the end of this podcast.
We don't want to give her too much of an ego. She might try to jump off a turnbuckle. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up this edition of HWR. We thank you for those who are listening. And again, over in our HWR chat room in the Facebook group section, I will be covering tonight's Dynamite. Play-by-play. I'll be interesting to see the barbed wire death match and see if nothing gets botched again. No fake explosion. But again, we have a lot of other things. We keep up with the latest news, the latest rumors. I had the babe of the day, and a lot of other interesting little things. And so you get over there and check it out. But again, we're here every Wednesday night live at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Joe, you're over at the Skeldon Realms. Tell everybody about it.
Yes, everybody, thank you for checking me out at #Skeldon's Realms. I am on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. I'm going to be going back. I haven't had a chance to do any streams because I've been so busy, but I'm going to try to do a stream tomorrow night. That's going to be a definite. I'm also going to do a little bit of a camping stream. We're going camping next week. We're going to do a little walk through the campgrounds, and it's part of the Allegheny Forest. So it's like a big national park here in Pennsylvania. Definitely leave your comments below here in HWI. Let us know how we are doing. If you have a special topic that you feel that the HWR should cover, post it. We will look at it. Go to the HWR chat room on Facebook. Rick will put the link in, and you can put your thoughts on that too. So that's it for me, Rick.
All right. And Joe, I'm sorry. We have Zoe. You're back to work, I hear.
I am. I had a show the weekend before last at Traditional Southern Wrestling. And let me tell you, if it would have been an indoor show, these guys would have blown the roof off of the joint. I don't know when the next show is. I don't have the date, but just as soon as I find out, I will put it over in the HWR chat room on Facebook. That way, if you're in that area, you can come and check it out. These guys are very professional, guys and gals. They are all very professional. They want to provide good, clean fun for families out and about, even though, it is violent. So, but you can book me. You can find me on Facebook at Zoe Nightshade, and that's ZOE. I can work face. I can work heel. I'm a manager primarily. I enjoy doing it. It's so much fun. Um, and thank you for all the listeners that are going to be listening to this. Big kisses. Mwah, mwah, mwah. Thank you so much.
All right. Well, there you have it. Well, the kisses and hugs. So that's going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. So for the next time and the Hardcore crew, we'll see you when we see you.
Buy the shirt. I can't do Lance.
No, nobody can act.